I don't even think I used the word million in my 20s. Right. Maybe once, and it was to talk about Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah. Love chickens. Why is that?
I love my chickens.
And not to go to chicken fights, right? When I started my journey in this real estate world, I needed to share it because I felt like I grew up, we had no electric telephone until I was like 10 years old. But then we was always helping families out or friends.
I had no debt.
Right.
I was smart financially because I made the money, I saved the money, and I only bought what I could afford.
Well, that's rare to have. Like for most women are like credit card debt.
No, exactly.
My wife. Hey, what's up, gang? I hope you guys like the show. I just wanted to thank Bomber Eyewear for being sponsor on the Puka Pockets podcast. So if you want to check out Bomber Eyewear, if you know the brand, you don't know the brand, just check us out. Get the promo code called Aloha 20 and sponsor your boy Fuzzy. Let's go. Yeah. Okay, what's up, gangy? My name is Fuzzy Jardine. Welcome to the Puka Pockets podcast. Today's guest is an amazing wahine, right? Tita originally from Big Island. Mm-hmm. And she's, come from humble beginnings, I believe. And she's here to share her story with us. And her name is Pilialoha, but she goes by Pili. And she's doing some big things out there in the States, but your roots is here from Hawaii. So welcome to the podcast.
Aloha. I'm so excited to be on this podcast. I've been following everything you're doing. And I was born and raised in Hilo, moved to Maui. I've lived on Oahu. And right now we're sitting at my parents' house in Mililani.
Right. Beautiful place though. I mean, look, the backdrop is unreal. So this was on the fly. She just came to the islands. It's like, hey, let's do a podcast.
Let's do this.
We've just been messaging each other on social media, and I love the fact that you're doing big things over there in Tennessee, not Tennessee.
Yep, I'm in Tennessee.
I'm in
Murfreesboro, Tennessee now.
Right. And you're doing like real estate, right? You're investing in real estate, doing multifamily stuff. Yep. You're part of like Bigger Pockets, or what program you've been part of?
So I started back. So this is a fun story. So if you want me to go all the way back,
all the way back.
born and raised in Hilo, like I said, moved to Maui. Me and my mom was a single mom until I was 8, where she met the love of her life, my dad, and he moved us to Oahu. I went from elementary school to intermediate. I went to high school here in Mililani, and then went back to Hilo for college.
Wow.
And I thought I was going to do Shakespeare and all that stuff for the rest of my life. And I moved to New York City, and I thought I was going to do that. And I ended up bartending.
Wow.
And moved to LA for a little bit, moved back to Hawaii for a little bit, moved back to New York. And finally I was done with New York. I was done with that scene. I had done it all. And I moved back. I actually moved back here to Mililani.
Wow.
And at that point, I mean, if you want to go real deep, I was anorexic. I didn't have a real good self-image at that point. And I just needed to just come clean with everything in my life. So what better way than to come home, right?
Right.
So did that. And then my now husband, we worked together.
UFC champion.
Industry. Yes, basically. He loves doing like those ultra marathons.
Oh yeah.
But he said, come meet me in San Francisco. So I promise there's an end to this story. I'm not going to just go on all the tangents. I just ball out.
Oh, good. We like people that talk on the show because then, just more interactive and people get to learn about other people and what they're doing. So stoked to have you on board.
I'm stoked to be here. So where was I? I was in New Jersey. Nope. So he told me to meet him in San Francisco. I meet him in San Francisco. I ended up moving back to New York. We were together for a year and we decided to start a family.
Wow.
So this is 2013. I don't have any credit cards. So let's go into a little bit of like personal finances. I don't have any credit cards. I have no debt. I had college was all paid off through scholarships,
Nice.
through the generous donations from the Kamehameha school system and Bernice Pauahi Bishop. But I got school all paid off because I went to UH Hilo and it was fantastic. And so I get together with basically a finance whiz, my husband. And he's like, wait, what? You have no debt? That means you have no credit. So I'm starting to build up my credit. And we decide to start a family. So while we're starting this family and I'm building my personal credit, I also sit down with my husband's family, and they actually have a construction company
Wow.
that lifts and moves homes in
Wow.
New Jersey. So they're thinking to themselves, okay, what's the next step? All of a sudden, I'm inserting myself into the family. I'm Hapai with our first child. And they're like, well, why don't you get your real estate license during your first trimester? So that's how I got into real estate. I got my real estate license. And we started flipping homes in New Jersey, high price point. And I learned how to wholesale, jumped into my first mastermind. And that's how it started.
Wow, that's amazing. So, can I ask? Like, what did you take in school? Like UH Hilo, right? What was your major?
Liberal studies, theater arts, and English.
So you was like wanting to be on stage then,
Yes.
theater.
I loved theater. Jackie Pualani Johnson was my theater, director in UH Hilo. She was fantastic. If you're listening to this, aloha, auntie. And that's where I had no thoughts. I had no thoughts of getting into real estate. I remember some friends were getting into real estate back in my 20s. And I was like, no, why? Like, why? Why am I going to buy and sell real estate?
No worry about them. We can keep going.
And then, so let me backtrack a little bit. So I had no thoughts about getting into real estate. But then as time passed, I saw that was a vehicle that my husband and I could use to provide for our new family.
Nice.
And to provide for our children that we hadn't had yet. So that's why we got into it, because this was all stuff and I was already 33 when I first got into real estate.
Wow.
So I started, there's never a late time to start, but now I want to teach my children, this is something that you can do. You can build wealth. It's okay.
Right.
Money is okay.
Yes. Yeah. When you put it in the right hands, right?
Exactly. In the right hands.
It just enhances who you are.
Exactly.
Right. So, that's a huge shift though, going from Hilo to New York, right? What was that experience like? Because you put a Hawaiian girl into this huge city.
But who was that song, Coconut Girl in High Fashion World?
How expensive is that place too?
It was so expensive. I went from living with my grandparents on Lanikaula Street. Anyone from Hilo watching this, you know where my grandparents' house. I know you do. To trying to get my first apartment. I remember my first apartment was little bigger than the patio we're on right now, which is 20 by 10.
Wow.
And it was $1,600. And this was back in 2001. So the crazy thing is, though, I moved in August 2001. What happened in September 2001? September 11th happened.
Yeah, I know.
And the crazy thing is, I was with my cousin. We were living in Brooklyn at the time. And he was working for the New York Times. And he wakes me up, early in the morning. He's like, Pili, wake up. They bombed the World Trade Center. I was like, wait, what? He was like, the World Trade Center is on fire. And mind you, I'd only been in New York for 2 weeks. I was supposed to go visit the World Trade Center with my classmates the next week after that. So I remember getting woken up. We go to the top of his building, which wasn't very, it was like this brownstone. We go to the top of his brownstone. He's working for the New York Times. He happens to have a camera with him. He throws the camera on and we see the second plane go in.
Crazy.
And remember, I'm little Hilo girl coming from UH Hilo. And all of a sudden, I'm like in the middle of New York City watching the second plane go into the World Trade Centers. And we saw the buildings fall. And my cousin actually got a Pulitzer for that footage. And I know every time I see that footage, something in me breaks a little bit, because it was like, even remembering it right now, it was like crazy. So it's funny, you asked me like, how did a little like Hawaiian girl from Hilo end up in New York City?
I was in Kona that morning and my dad woke me up. He's like, dude, the world's ending right now.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, what? So I wake up and I'm like, holy crap, you were there live, but like we could see, the news is on. And, oh my goodness, this is nuts.
Yeah, I remember.
So all the airports shut down and the airports all changed after that.
Yeah, the airports all changed, like how people were all changed. But the crazy thing is, and this is like coming to like the Aloha spirit that's alive in the entire world.
Right.
Like people ask me like how it was living in New York. Are they rude and all the stuff that you see on TV? And I'm going to tell you, you know what? New Yorkers have a lot of things to do. It's a lot of noise, a lot of like craziness. But the people there are so kind, and they were so generous, and people were watching out for each other, and people were just there. And that was how it was throughout my stay there. And I've lived in a lot of different places, and I cannot say I've hated anywhere I live, because it's the people you surround yourself with, right?
Right.
And it's the person that you are too. So like that really defined my early 20s. And I mean, that defined a lot of us, because all of our lives changed because of that. But having gone through that and then staying in New York for that entire year, I didn't come back home for a year. I don't know if it was because I was afraid to get on a plane or I just couldn't afford it because I was all of 22 at the time. But it was a crazy time, but it was fun. But I couldn't live in New York again.
No.
Too much noise.
Too busy, right?
Yes.
I think Tennessee's a lot more.
I have a farm in Tennessee now. I have a farm dog and chickens.
Right. Yeah, I mean, shoot, that was definitely a sad moment for a lot of people, friends and families who, we lost.
Yeah.
Definitely will be remembered. But, so, I mean, after New York, you were saying you went and met your husband in San Francisco. Was that where he was from?
So, no, we actually met. I'll go back to that story. We actually met in New York City. Because I told you I wanted to be in theater, and I was going to the auditions and taking all the theater classes, and it was a lot of fun. But something's got to put food on the table, so I learned how to bartend. I was a bartender in New York City, and I ended up working for this crazy boat on the side of the Hudson River. I was like the only girl that winter that would work there. Because
and
this
from
is like,
Hawaii, so guarantee you got tipped really well.
And from Hawaii. But it was on the water, so I was like, I know the water is kind of gross, but it's water.
It's black over there.
It's water. Actually, it wasn't that bad.
Brown and just, yeah.
It was okay. I used to kayak in it. I'm not crazy because of it. So I'm practically living there, but I start working there, and during the winter time, and actually at 23 years old, I start managing this outdoor club bar, this crazy, like artsy, amazing place. And in walks there's two guys. One of them works there, and all the bartenders used to do the construction work on this barge, including myself. So in walks one of my bartenders with Jason, and he said, "Oh, Jason's here to do construction work with us, like paint and do like random construction work around the barge." And he can also bartend. So it ended up being that he could actually bartend. So we were actually coworkers and friends for years. When I moved to LA to do more theater work and, pursue my dreams, I ended up bartending more. He actually took over my job.
Yeah.
I came back to New York. I took the job back. He took the job back. We were butting heads all the time, but we were friends throughout. So it wasn't until finally I was like, I'm done with New York City. I moved back home. I cleaned myself up,
Right.
started gaining weight, went to the local 24-hour fitness, started making gains. Not really, but a little bit. And Jason actually said to meet me in San Francisco because I childhood, my mom lived there for a little bit with us. And
Right.
yeah. So the rest is history. After that, I moved back to New York. And
Right. So, I mean, I know you said you got scholarships from the, Kamehameha schools and stuff. Like, how was, like, your parents had any involvement with trying to guide you in what, you should do this, or,
my parents are awesome. Like and I'm not just saying that because my dad just walked in, but they laid a foundation of choice and making good decisions and decisions that furthered you. They never said, oh, you got to go do this, you got to go do that.
Wow.
Did they want me to move to New York City? Probably not. But they were never like, absolutely not, you
Right.
cannot go. Did they want me to stay in Oahu and go to school instead of going to Hilo? Probably. But I really wanted to go back to Hilo because
Right.
that's where my grandparents were. That's where my roots were.
Right.
So they laid a lot of that foundation. My dad is retired Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard,
Wow.
and my mom is a school teacher.
Okay.
And she worked, I got to watch her and her strength, because until I was 7, she was a single mom.
Oh, okay.
So I got to experience that with her and got to see her strength and got to see really, I got to watch my mom grow into this amazing woman that she is today.
Right.
And with the help and support and the strength of my father. And I mean, this is for all the fathers out there, especially the fathers of the ones with Hanai kids, with stepkids.
Yeah.
I realized that when my mom met my dad and my dad met my mom, he not only had to fall in love with my mom, he had to fall in love with me too, right?
Mm.
And take me on too.
Yep.
So I don't think I always showed gratitude growing up, but I have the utmost gratitude for I don't want to call it sacrifices because that makes it sound painful, but like what they gave me growing
Right.
up. So they gave me that foundation of aloha, of giving, of gratitude, of making, not making do, but turning what we're given into more and making
Right.
more for everyone, right?
Nice.
And
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, part of the Aloha spirit is all about, right? Sharing,
Yes.
giving. Not
Yeah,
only
it's
love.
my, I mean, I cannot get away from it. It's my name, Pilialoha.
Yeah, I know.
My mom did pretty good naming me.
Yeah. No, yeah. You seem like you're super cool, mellow, and you fit right in Hawaii. Yeah.
Well, it's home. No matter where we end up, me and my family. So it's me, my husband, and our 3 kids.
Cool.
And our 2 dogs. I have a bulldog, and we just got a Great Pyrenees.
Wow.
He's 5 months old. I can already stand up and pet him.
And then
He's so
100
big.
chickens.
No, I have 6.
Oh.
I have 6 chickens. 100. It's probably because I have hundreds of posts on Instagram about my chickens.
No, I mean, tell me. I mean, what
like it.
you love chickens?
love
Why is that?
I love my chickens. Well, it's because
And not to go to chicken fights, right? Because that's
No, I actually don't.
Hawaii is like.
I love my rooster, but my rooster would actually do really good in a chicken fight. I'm just saying, the guy attacks.
That's classic.
Well, it comes down to like food sovereignty, right? Because we, like in Hawaii, we talk about sovereignty, and we're not going to go all the way there, but like, I believe that just as like humans, as people who need to eat, breathe, shelter, we need to learn how to provide those things for ourselves. Especially COVID taught us that, I mean, just toilet paper. Couldn't find toilet paper. You couldn't find food.
Right.
You couldn't find any of these things. You were told to stay at home. So my husband and I have been on a journey together to become more self-sustaining.
Nice.
And this has always been a need for me. Like, because Hawaii itself needs to be more self-sustaining, finding its own energy, finding its own food sources, sheltering its people. And that's one of the reasons why I love the work that you and Zasha do. You're teaching people in Hawaii how to become more self-sustaining, how to learn how to buy real estate, how to keep Hawaii real estate in Hawaii hands.
We try, but it's open to it's open because we are the 50th state, and it's sad, but that's why it's important to educate yourself, right? And not only after high school, like I know we're taught to okay, go to school, get education, and then go to college, and then or college, right?
Yeah, or college.
Try to, if you can afford or your parents can afford. And in most cases, you're not even using your degree after that.
Here.
Right? And then I think we're trained in school, really they don't teach us about business or becoming an entrepreneur or how to invest money or how the banking system works. So they're setting us up to be workers.
Yes.
And that's why, I felt like when I started my journey in this real estate world, I needed to share it because I felt like, hey, like I'm born here, I'm local, I'm blood. I also have Portuguese blood too, but I felt the need that like, and this my part of Aloha, right, is, and being the Aloha spirit, like my grandparents, I grew up, we had no electric telephone until I was like 10 years old. But then we was always helping families out or friends. We'd be going, helping them fix something with their house. The aunties or the wives would be always had food on the table, and then the guys outside playing the horseshoe. But just sharing that mana'o or the like a skill that you have with someone else, so that when you pass away, it just keeps living on. So that when real estate came into my world, I was like, holy moly, like why is there not teaching this type of education in our schools?
Why don't you have a real estate 101 class in like for seniors?
Right, because I mean, we look at today in Hawaii, like that's the number one thing that a lot of people talk about is it's so expensive to live here. How are we supposed to survive? And a lot of the families we see now is moving away because of it, right? It's a fact that it is one of the most expensive states to live in.
I think I saw it's this
second now?
Taxes, but I think it's second most expensive, and then the 7th most taxed state.
Right. It's up there. I mean, and you look the other day, I just watched something on social media where in Kauai, the Love's Loaf bread was like almost $14.
I saw that too. I was like, is that true?
Yes.
Somebody got to fact check that.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
$14?
It was.
How can, see, this is why.
So we got to make our own bread now.
Exactly. So back to being self-sustainable, food sovereignty.
Right.
Like, imagine if you could make your own bread.
Right.
If you could have your own eggs. Like, there's no reason why Like these things shouldn't be taught. Like we should be taught basic financial skills, which I had absolutely none. None. I learned, well, I'm gonna backtrack on that. I had actually a lot of financial skills because I had no debt.
Right.
I was smart financially because I made the money, I saved the money, and I only bought what I could afford.
But that's rare to have. Like for most women,
Exactly.
are like credit card debt.
No,
When I met my
exactly.
wife, she was like, in a lot of credit card debt.
But that's what my dad taught me.
We fixed
like, you don't buy a car unless you can afford it.
Right.
You just don't. And though it wasn't until I got into my 30s where I learned how to take that mindset and build it and create wealth.
Right. No, you was talking about your dad teaching you how to stay out of debt, right?
Yeah. Like, for instance, this house is paid off.
Right.
You know, the real estate.
But you can use the equity now.
Exactly. No, see, that's where my mind goes. I was like, wait, but you can take that equity and put it into all this other stuff.
Right.
But the thing is, to have a house paid off in
Right, it's safe, right? It's a safe.
Yeah.
And that's what most of our parents or like my grandparents, they would, pay off everything, right? Yeah. You get a car, you just pay cash for it,
but
never taking out loans, right?
And see, like, on one hand of the mindset, some people would be like, but that's playing it safe. Mm-hmm. You know, you could do so much with that wealth. You could build more wealth. But at the same time, like, no. Right. Like, it's amazing because this is like a solid foundation. Like for instance, my mom's parents, my grandparents, their house was paid off.
Right.
Like that was the house that everyone went to. There was always rice in the rice pot. If you ate the last scoop of rice in the rice pot, you made rice. I think that's the first thing we all learned how to make was rice and then eggs. Probably why I like chicken so much. And the roosters that were in the neighbor's yard would always wake me up. Anyway, but like this is the things that we were taught. Like this is the foundation we had. And some real estate mindsets today would say, well, you're never going to grow wealth that way. But you can still grow wealth and play it. It's not even safe. Like my dad worked really hard. My mom and dad worked hard to have what they have today. Mm-hmm. And this is the foundation that they've laid that we get to build on. Right. So there's a reason why I'm saying this. So for anybody that's listening to this, build wealth according to your aptitude for risk. Mm-hmm. If you're a huge risk taker, like my husband's a huge risk taker. Like he will take the risks, but he'll take calculated risks. He knows the math behind it. We've done all the work on the markets. We've done our homework on it, and we don't jump into anything that we both haven't approved and looked at. But if you don't want to build that kind of risky wealth, like for instance, right now we're doing a $12.5 million raise.
Yeah.
If you had, I don't even think I used the word million in my 20s. Right. Maybe once, and it was to talk about Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
Or like, for instance, you're doing tax auctions. Like you just said, like the going rate for one of these tax auctions is $3,000.
Yes.
Like
in Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
Like that's mind-boggling.
Yep.
Like that you can get into. I know $3,000 for a lot of people is still a lot of money. So this is no judgment. Yeah. But if you can, please.
Not buy a gold chain, not buy the
buy the Toyota
buy a piece of property. And you can, like what you're doing in Tennessee, there's a lot of people that's living off the Aina right now on the Big Island. So just think about it. If you do win the bid at this auction at $3,000, like you can literally go over there. You can live in your car or, put tents up, right?
Yes. It's your
live
property.
Off grid for a little while, and it's yours, right? And the taxes is really like $250, maybe $300 now a year.
In Hawaii. Yeah. Let's go back to the part where you're in Hawaii. So if you want to be here and you want to live here, yes, it's expensive. Yes, if you live in certain parts of Hawaii, it's really, really hard to make ends meet.
Right.
But there's ways to do it.
Yeah,
if that's what you
downshift,
want.
right? Instead of going so fast
Exactly.
over here on Oahu, downshift.
Yes.
Local. I mean, this is a great way to me. Like, and when I went to my first auction, I was like, what the heck? Like, why? Like, and it was cheaper. It was going for like $1,500. People were just
crazy.
snatching up beautiful pieces of property from people that, they didn't pay their taxes. And I was like, I need to learn what they know, and that's why I educated myself. Just from the coaching program that I was it, they was teaching part of that in the program on tax auctions, tax liens, and all this stuff. And yeah, I went back with a vengeance with my cousin, and we bought a bunch of properties. And till this day, this is like a new niche for me. Besides the new builds that we're building up there in Puna. Trying to educate other locals that may have moved away from Hawaii or is still here, that they can go to these auctions and buy properties for super cheap.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I told a couple of my cousins in Hilo about you, and they're like, "Oh, we've already been to his class.
That's
We know him." I was like, "Of course you do. Of course you do. Big island, small world, right?"
And it's coming from my heart. It's not about, like, yes, we may have charged for some of the events that we're doing, but it's more for like our back end team, and putting together the curriculum to share our knowledge.
Well, I'm gonna
and the experience.
one of us has to say it, and I'll be the one that says it. You gotta charge, because
Right.
we had this talk a little bit. You gotta charge because people will actually work for something they've paid for.
Right.
I know there's a lot of people out there that it's like, oh yeah, give it to me for free. But most people that I have ever taught this for free, like, you can literally go to my podcast and download my brain, download my husband's
Right.
brain. It's all there.
Right.
Like, we started our podcast in 2017. So from 2017 to 2024, we have downloaded all the information into that podcast.
Nice.
But nobody wants to do that because that's hard work.
Taking time out of the day to watch the thing and
Watch
learn.
the thing and to get all the information. So, like you, my husband and I put together our coaching program with partners,
Right.
and we've been teaching people.
Yeah.
And I love teaching.
Right.
I love it. But I had to realize, because I've had issues with money. Like, sometimes
Yeah, let that go by real quick. Airplane, guys, airplane. The plane. There we go.
there we go. Let's let it go by a little bit more.
Yeah, but you love teaching, yeah, you were saying?
Yeah.
I-
So I love teaching. In fact, I remember my tutu used to always tell me, Pili, you should get into teaching. You should be a teacher. My mom's a teacher. I love teaching. But I had to realize that my time is worth it.
Mhm.
Your time is worth it.
It is.
Like, and I had to have this discussion with my partners, because we were realizing we were putting so much of our time and effort into our coaching program that we weren't doing as much as we could be doing
Right.
in real estate. Now I've just gotten off of a $14.5 million raise, and now I'm in a $12.5 million raise. So it's not like we've not been busy,
Right.
but this allows us to realize, like, okay, where should we put our time? Because our time is valuable. Everybody that's listening to this, your time is valuable. You just have to realize, how much is your time worth?
Right.
I remember one of my first coaches, this guy, Justin Williams, like, sat us all down and he was like, what's your time actually worth? Like, is your time worth scrubbing the toilet?
Right.
Toilet's got to be scrubbed.
Right.
And it doesn't take that long. But could you be, like, in that 2 to 3 hours that it takes you to really clean your house, could you hire someone for cheaper to do your house, and could you make more money doing something else?
Right. That's so
Like,
spot on. Because, like, for me, when I first started this real estate thingy right here in Hawaii, I was wearing all the hats, and I have a micromanagement way of doing business here, because I'm like, right, nobody can do it as good as I can. Right. So it's hard for me to let go but I've gotten better, along the years, and I just, what you said resonates with me because now I'm delegating stuff that, I've been doing for years, and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have to go back to the Big Island and go pick up rubbish at these projects. I can hire somebody that that's all they do.
And somebody that needs the job.
Right.
Like somebody that needs the job wants to maybe learn, but will learn through that way.
Right.
Oh, I get to work for it.
Right. And that's, they're happy to get the work.
Yeah.
And then now I get my time back to be able to do stuff like this, podcasts, go, do other stuff with Zasha, my partner, and time to put curriculum together to teach others, like you raise capital to find, projects to, passionate projects, which is we go, buy land, build these houses, put local families that's on Section 8 into these homes, and then also selling these homes at affordable prices for local families.
So say that again for the people that didn't hear it in the back. What you're doing
put it this way, like
for local families.
like a brand new home in Tennessee, like in a pretty good sized neighborhood. What is a brand new, like 3.2 going for?
Now you're going to make
in a pretty good neighborhood,
in a pretty good neighborhood. 3.2 now. Prices went up. I would say 300, 250,
wow,
300
so crazy.
in a good neighborhood.
So we're selling homes, 3-bedroom, 3 baths for $350 brand new on a 1/4 acre piece of property.
That's crazy.
In Hawaii.
That's really good.
And I mean, it's a lot of locals cannot afford that, but they don't even know that if they can get qualified through a USDA loan, they don't have to put nothing down. Right? And then a lot of locals who are akamai or they're knowledgeable, they have good credit, they have jobs. We've been handing keys over to them, brand new house through a USDA loan, which is like almost having like a VA loan, right?
Yep.
0 down, and man, they're happy, I'm proud to also say that a lot of locals wanting to come back home. There's a few houses that we're able to come down on our price just so we could make that happen. So,
see, that's huge. You're bringing local families back.
Well, we're trying,
Trying to bring local families back. And you're also housing local families that at an affordable rate. Like that price point is like 90s.
yeah.
That's like 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I try
Plus
like
1/4 acre, that's huge.
right, and there's like an acre, like the other areas, like in Hawaiian Paradise Park and Acre, we're the lowest price point in there. So everybody's building the nicer houses, a little bit bigger, but we're building these pre-approved plans at the county, which takes about maybe 6 to 8 weeks to get permits. We build the home. And then we're in Hawaiian Paradise Park. I think we're at like $475, which you get an acre, and then the 3.3, and then you could basically grow your fruits, your animals there, right? Yeah. Your vegetables, and yeah, start your ohana, right? Make memories.
See, that's amazing. Like that's how. It's so funny because you look at if you look up on Instagram, if you look up real estate, you'll pull up all these like bigwig real estate guys who it's all money, jets and airplanes, which is fine. One of my partners has a jet, but you can tell the really good ones based on like how they give back. Like I've talked to.
No worry.
I've talked to so many real estate professionals that their main goal is to give back, like you do.
Yeah.
Is to take what they've learned and to teach it to others. And we all have, I've realized, especially with the good ones, we all have like this attitude, like we don't want to charge.
Yeah, right. It's
like, I don't want, like.
It's hard, right? It's a kuleana thing, a kako thing. Like we want to share what we know, but then it takes away time from what we're doing,
on our
our
family,
projects, right? And
our
then
projects.
you know, like we paid the big, like I paid the big bucks. I still
Same.
pay for coaches to teach me, you know, now how to be coaching, how to set up my programs, and you know, and if I want to learn how to do a certain thing, like no better way to pay a coach because I'll learn
Yes.
faster.
Yes.
And yeah, so but it was tough for me and my partner Zasha on our pricing. You know, our first bus tour that we did on the Big Island. When I first met Zasha, she said, "You should share what you're doing." I'm like, "No, I'm gonna create competition, right? I want to share this because, like, but back then I was selling the houses. I think I was selling them for like, I think I was selling them for way cheaper because the market was different. And I had learned all of this from a developer, and you know, it's just because I was active and I listened to my coaches and I did what they said, and then I was able to link up with somebody that had that skill to build these houses, but his lack was he couldn't find the money. So the group that I was with, Fortune Builders, I just presented the opportunity. And I said it like that. Hey, it's an opportunity to build homes in Hawaii. Here's the, you know, here's the splits. Here's how, you know, what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take. And there's a bunch of people that, you know, jumped on board. And then till this day, that couple is still investing in, you know, what I'm doing. You know, so it's so crazy, right?
So the great thing is, I mean, you just shared a bunch of stories right there, like how you were able to up level. And if you guys are watching this podcast, you know his story, but how you were able to up level from where you were to where you are today, and how you're able to share, but still you're able to keep your time.
Yeah.
Because your time is valuable, right?
Oh, it is, yeah.
Your
I
time is
get
valuable.
more of my time back now because I'm delegating, right? In the beginning, it was like rough, no doubt, because I wanted to do everything.
You are your business. You get taught, you take in all the information, and then you go do it. And then you have to realize at some point that you have to build a business, or else it's just a really expensive hobby that you might make
It was a
money
little
from.
tough too in the beginning because, you know, when me and my wife met, then I was always looking to buy a home, but then when we met, I think that's when like 2013 was when we first was in escrow to buy our first homestead property, you know, in Waianae, and I told her, hey, we'll go to this one day thing, and I know they're gonna sell us something, but I like check them out because they're telling, you know, they're looking for have somebody to be part of their team, and I knew I was the guy, right? And then eventually it turned into a $26,000 you know, debt, right, that I put myself into. She's like, you're stupid. You're stupid. I was like, well, she's like, we're buying a house, and I'm like, but it makes
That makes sense. It
right?
makes sense. See, it made
So
sense.
I'm the risk taker.
Yes.
Wifey's not the risk taker. She's more of the secured person, but she supports me. It's just harder, like a little bit more challenging to, you know, go this course with, you know, oh, why are you doing that for? Because maybe she's not, you know, as risk taking as I.
So I gave birth to our first kid, and my husband actually realized that something wasn't clicking. Like I must have been suffering from postpartum. And I was starting to get, you know, we were starting to get the flipping business going, and we were doing this interesting way of flipping homes because my husband's family company used to lift and raise homes. Like they used to actually take the house, lift it up, fix the foundation, do anything that they needed to, or they would build another
and build them up, right?
and just build them up. And like a lot of people, like in New Jersey, a lot of people pop the top off and like they build up from that way.
Right.
What we used to do is we used to take the house, this little like Cape Cod single family home, We would raise it once, we would raise it twice, build another first floor, and then put the garage underneath, because that was underneath the base flood elevation, and it couldn't be insured.
Right.
And you had to have everything above the base flood elevation. So when we first got into flipping, and I know I'm going on a tangent, but this is a cool story. When we first got into flipping, that's what we used to do, and it was expensive, and it took a long time.
Right.
And you and I both know, as house flippers, you want to like turn the houses as quick as you can. But we didn't know that at the time.
Right.
So my husband sees that I need more people in my life. I'm like kind of like just reading books, and just me and the baby, who's 9 now.
Wow.
And he tells me, go look up this guy, Justin Williams. He has this program, go jump in with him. So we paid to go into his first level program. It was like, I don't know, a couple $1,000s. And then he put together this upper level program that was $20,000.
Inner Circle, right?
No, that wasn't Inner Circle. That was
even more.
It was 7-figure flipping.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he might have been part of Inner Circle. And I was like, wait, what? But we both knew that was how we were going to take it to the next level. Because I actually said, okay, let's wait a year. Let's see what they do with this program. And everyone that jumped in, literally just their businesses skyrocketed.
Right.
Because they surrounded themselves with good people.
Right people, yeah.
So if you're in Hawaii, or no matter where you are at, like, you surround yourself with good people. And sometimes you got to pay for it.
Right.
Because their time is worth it.
Yeah.
And if they're a good program, and do your due diligence on coaches, like, get to know them, have conversations with them. If you cannot get a hold of the coach, don't jump in. And I know you and Zasha are hands-on.
Yeah.
You guys are worth it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's tough to get in touch with the coach. And that's how I met Zasha. I met her on social media, COVID time, watching her. Mm-hmm. And how I seen her was because I knew another friend who, her name's Tereva, sweetheart in Maui.
I know her on social media too.
Yeah, awesome Tita from Tahiti, but she lives in Maui too. But she was in Fortune Builders too, mm-hmm. and she was a lender at first, and then I guess her and Zasha connected, and then I just started seeing them doing stuff on social media that could help them raise capital. I was like, why am I not doing that, right? Because I was just only with the circle that I was doing. I reached out to Zasha, and I was like, dude, how do I do this? But it went from me messaging, like when you say, DM me the word this, went to Ryan Pineda, and kept going to Ryan Pineda, and never got a hold of Zasha until like later. And I ended up signing up with Ryan Pineda's program anyway, because it was worth it. Yeah. But I wanted to learn from Zasha, and she just never had the time and I don't blame her, because she's busy. Yeah. She's busy. Yeah. Like,
I remember, I think I tried messaging her too. I think I wanted to.
She won't respond.
I think it was so funny. I think I tried getting her on my podcast, and she was like,
well, after this, she probably gonna be like, hey, get me on the podcast.
I've already, the thing is, when Maui happened,
right.
When everything that happened in Lahaina, I reached out to her. I was like, Zasha, you need anything? Right. I have people on the real estate side in the continental U.S. that want to put their power behind it. So I got her on this huge women's podcast called The Real Estate Investor. And she talked about everything that was happening in Maui and how she was helping, because you and Zasha were there and hands-on, especially Zasha. And she's there in
her daughter's family, was affected.
So, and then I had her on my podcast just to get the word out there, because everyone that I was talking to was like, how can we help? How can we help? I was like, well, I'm Hawaiian, but I don't live in Hawaii right now. I actually don't know. Let me go to somebody that knows the answer.
Right.
Let me go to my friend Zasha. I know she's in Maui. And that's how we like firmly connected, and we've been talking ever since.
Yeah. Oh, she's awesome, Tita.
Yeah.
Like you yourself too.
Well,
Like,
thank you.
Yeah.
This is going to become the Zasha podcast.
Most likely, right?
We're just gonna love on Zasha the whole time.
We're passionate about what we're doing now. She, like, when we did our first bus tour, people were starting to ask, like, "Hey, you guys do a coaching program?" And we never about it because it takes a lot. We know it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And she did it. I was like, Tita, bending her arm, like, "Hey, we got to do this because no one's doing this." And we've been doing it since last year. I think our first was May, around this time when we did our bus tour, and then we did the tax deed workshop, and then we did our first SWE mastermind class, and yeah, now we're 4 classes deep, over 100 students that came through the SWE mastermind class, and like we're trying to add more value, give up more of our time to give back because we want to see. And to tell you the truth, most of our students is all local, right, from Hawaii, and we want to see them succeed.
Yes.
And we tell them every day, like we go on like on a weekly or bi-weekly, and I go on because we have a private Facebook group, and I always, I look like this. I'm from Hawaii. I'm not trying to dress up or be nobody. I'm just.
Although your hat game is epic.
Thank you. But I get on and I say, hey, look, nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna change, and nothing's gonna get you where you need to go unless you take action.
You got to take action,
right? Like you guys, they have my phone number.
Yep.
They can call me directly.
Yep.
What coaches, out there, like my coaches, Fort Dan Merle, J.D. Asayan, or even what is his name? Ryan Pineda. I don't have his personal phone number. I paid him thousands of dollars,
But still,
But
even
the
though you don't
program that they had worked. Worked.
It up-leveled you.
Yeah.
It up-leveled
But
you.
I used it, right? I took action, and the steps is there. Everything you need to know from these coaches, it works. It works. You cannot tell me you cannot find money because it's there.
It's there. You just gotta. Okay, number one, you gotta ask.
Yeah.
You gotta look.
Know how to ask.
You gotta know how to ask.
Right.
I kind of just come up to you and say, "Hey,
I like borrow money.
I like borrow money. You got $50,000. That's the minimum I need to get into this investment.
Yeah.
You don't know me. I don't know you.
Yeah. Just give me the money, and I'm not gonna secure your money.
I just realized I don't think I told your listeners what kind of real estate I do.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
We've been following. We just talking story. So I told you I started off with my real estate license because I wanted, that's how I got the MLS. Mm-hmm. This was back in 2013. We were still riding that wave up. So even though I thought, oh my goodness, these price points are high, they're nowhere near what they are now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go into market studies. So I started off as a real estate agent. So any real estate agents out there, I don't want to hear any excuses. You're in real estate, but you're not in real estate for yourself until you start investing. So we started getting to house flipping, and then we started getting into wholesaling, which is basically just flipping the contract. Right. Look up wholesaling. It's a great way to make money. And then we got into small multifamilies. I actually met somebody at a RIA. This guy stopped me. He was like, I heard that you were in house flipping and wholesaling. I've seen you on the internet, kind of like this. Have you ever thought about getting into turnkey houses? Mm-hmm. So what his company did is that you invested in his company, and he found the rentals. He would do all the work for you. He would renovate the rentals. He would get the people in, and you would make the cash flow on the side,
right,
and then the equity on the sell.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of basically the basis of what I do in large multifamily. But we wanted a little bit more. So I sent my husband to Indianapolis. This is like 2016. Prices were really good. We got into a couple of houses for like, I don't know. Plus, I think there were I'm pretty sure there were tax liens. One was $10,000. The other one was like $7,000. 2 duplexes. And they cash flowed really good. But because we weren't we didn't have our hands on everything. There were things about the project that kind of fell through. Like we would get, there was a lot that went wrong with those first two projects, but we made a lot of money.
Right.
And plus when we sold them, we actually, I don't know, I forgot what the return on investment on that. I was thinking it was like 30%. Anywho, sorry, I'm trying to math the math. I don't remember the math on that. So we started with that. Then all of a sudden, so I'm like, and throughout this, we're also building our family, right? So I had my first child when we first got into real estate. Had Lily, I was high with Lily, our daughter, and my husband comes up to me. He was like, I heard about this thing called multifamily.
Oh boy.
And so at this point, we have flipping, we have wholesaling. I'm a real estate agent. We have these small rentals.
Right.
We still have the house lifting company. And I think he had just sold the brewery that he had in New York. I'm like, no.
Not another thing, right?
Absolutely not. I am high with our second child. We have all these balls up in the air. I don't want anything to break. I don't want anything to fall. Yeah. But he was like, and this comes back to what we were saying about coaches, right?
Right.
He was like, let's learn about it. So we jumped into a mastermind at the tune of, I think it was like $30,000. And we learned how to do multifamily. 6 months later, we took down our first 94 unit in Kentucky.
Wow.
Now we are at, the number just changed because we just took on.
And you guys partnered on that one. You guys were just like because multifamily, is.
So what we do is real estate syndication.
Okay.
We pool capital from investors to purchase a property. We come in on the general partner side. We find the property. We take care of the management of the property. We do the due diligence of the property. We find the funds for the property. We capital raise for the property.
You guys pretty much doing a lot.
And the thing is, we have partners that help us with this.
Okay.
So some of our partners are really good at acquisitions. We have partners that are really good at the capital raise.
Right.
The thing is, with Jason and I, we can do everything. Right. But we found by bringing on the right partners, you don't have to do everything.
Right.
And we can buy millions of dollars worth of real estate.
Right.
But that's not our money.
Right?
Yeah, well, we can go into cost depreciation. We can go into taxes. But the thing is, for everyone that's listening, you can do this.
Yeah, you can.
You can come in. So you can come into
with no
real
money.
estate syndication, and if you do it right,
right,
you can do it with no money. And lots of coaches say that, but
people.
I get the.
But I think this is where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
You can do it with no money, but you might take a little bit less on the back end during, right?
As long as you take less.
Almost free.
Yes.
Just to learn, get your foot in the door.
Yes.
And that's how I did it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that you can do, but with real estate syndications, one of the questions I tell my students if they're going to get on the limited partner or the passive side. So I work with a lot of passive investors, and I tell my students if you're going to come on the passive side, one of the questions I want you to ask the general partner is how much of their personal capital are they putting into the deal? How much skin do they have in the game? And I know as active real estate professionals, we put a lot of time in.
Right.
But it's also good, and this is just a teaching point for anyone that's getting into the passive side, try and figure out how much capital the general partners are putting in. Jason and I like to at least put a little bit of our capital into every deal, not only because we want
in the game.
It's not only that, but we also want the cash flow.
Right.
I wanna make passive income from the deals that I am actively doing.
Right.
So right now we're doing large multifamily syndications. We're mostly on the commercial side. We've also done a few mobile home parks and a few storage facilities.
Wow.
Mostly in, and we're focused in on Murfreesboro, Tennessee, where I currently live. Just because it's a very landlord-friendly state. It's very tax less. Does that make sense?
Yeah, not as much
taxes. So, and it's just a really good way of life there.
Right.
Like you can still like people who want to buy can still buy there. People who need to rent can still rent there, and they can rent at affordable rates.
Right.
And we love to get B to C class assets. We don't invest in A class assets.
Right.
We do strong workforce housing because those are the people that we want to improve these buildings for. Because if we have happy tenants, I'll have happy investors.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. You went from, Hilo to Honolulu.
Yeah.
Back to Hilo.
Yeah. I went
New
to
York.
school at Maliapukokolani in Keaukaha.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of Hawaiian immersion schools, popping up all over. So like
I didn't go to Hawaiian immersion. I was too old. I'm 1980, born in 1980, so I was right there, but I moved around too much. My sister and brother though went to Hawaiian immersion. I'm still learning. I learn every day.
Yeah. So your sister and brother, they're like how far apart? Are you the youngest? Or?
I am the oldest.
Okay.
I am the oldest. I hope my sister didn't hear you say that. I'm older than her by 13 years.
Wow.
I'm older than my brother by 15 years. So that might have been another reason why I started a little bit late, the adulting, a little bit late in life.
Yeah.
Because I was able to
watch your share of watching them.
and got to see them grow up.
Nice.
And then I moved to New York.
Yeah.
But I already told you that story.
So, I mean, you're coming to visit Hawaii to see family again, and I guess probably recharge, yeah?
Coming here, like even stepping off the airplane at Honolulu International Airport, Hilo International Airport's better.
Oh, yeah.
But even when stepping off the plane in Honolulu International Airport, I can feel like the rush of like the Hawaii energy.
Yeah.
Going to Hilo though, all of a sudden it's like connection.
Yeah.
So we're going to Hilo this weekend to celebrate
Nice.
some family stuff.
Nice. Good for you.
It'll be really good.
Yeah. So you've been to like the Merry Monarchs and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I grew up going to Merry Monarch. I grew up dancing hula. My mom grew up dancing hula. My sister grew up dancing hula. My brother grew up dancing hula. I was never a part of any big hula halau, a big halau. But when I was in college, I reconnected with hula and with my culture by just going, like, learning Hawaiian in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped in with my kumuhula, Paul Nevis. And he's known in Hilo, but he never wanted to compete, and I was fine with that.
Right.
I think I tried to do keiki hula one year, and I was just never. It was like competing. Doing hula was never a thing for me. I don't know how we got to talk about hula, but that's it.
Yeah. Merry Monarch.
Merry
Well,
Monarch, that's
going
right.
back,
So going back to Merry
going
Monarch,
back
like,
to
I remember
visit your
small
family.
I remember small kid time, like running around, eating the Grady burgers. If you know, you know. And just seeing like all the aunties with the bracelets and the all the halaus getting ready, and just like being around that energy as a keiki. It was epic, and just getting to watch, like some of my cousins have danced, and getting to watch them just perform, and just being connected to Hawaii in that way.
Yeah. So in Tennessee, is there like a Hawaiian community up there?
There is a Hawaiian
Really?
community. It's so funny. Like sometimes I'll be on the road, and somebody will have like, it's either a Jeep or Toyota. It's really strange. And they'll have like the stickers and like Aloha or like Ikaika or like they'll have like something about their car that screams Hawaii. And I'll just be like, hey, to a shaka sign in passing. But like my sister, some of her classmates live there.
Oh, wow.
There's a huge Facebook group, like Hawaiians, I think of Middle Tennessee. It's really, really strange.
It's crazy.
Like it's becoming like they say what Las Vegas is the 9th island.
Right.
Maybe Murfreesboro, Tennessee is the 10th.
10th island.
There's a lot.
No,
of
yeah, you
Hawaiians out
figure
there.
there's only 10% left, born and raised
Crazy, right?
here in Hawaii. And yeah, so where everybody went, we don't know. And that's sad to see that, like it's a lot of it is the economy and this thing's just getting more and more expensive, and then our dollar is starting to get more and more devalued. But man, it's tough for me like to keep seeing or hearing that families are moving away. But
It's really interesting because I moved away. I basically moved away in my 20s.
It's more of like, how can I say it? Like you can choose to go, right? Because there's opportunity
Some people
galore,
just have to.
right?
Yeah.
It's galore opportunities, and take Aloha with you. But a lot of people, like the more locals move away, like man, it's not the same,
See, I had this conversation with my cousin, and you can look him up. He's the cousin that I lived with
Right.
in New York that I experienced 9/11 with. And he was born, and Naka, I'm probably going to screw this up, so you can call and
Scold you.
have scold me, or you can have them retract this. But he was born on the mainland, or we don't call it the mainland, we call it the continental U.S. now.
Right.
Anyway, I think in Texas, but he was also born and raised, or not, raised in Kwajalein.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been all over the place. And I remember the first time I met him, I think he came for explorations, or it was for something for OHA, like one of those things when he was still in high school. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so he has been all over the place. I mean, he was for the New York Times. He has been all over the Middle East. He has seen things that I don't think any human being. It's just crazy some of the things he's seen. Like the stuff of this that you've seen, like the war, like everything about wars and everything that you see in the news. He has been there and been on the ground for, and he is amazing.
Right.
The reason why I'm saying this is that he recently, 2 years, Hawaiian man, moved back.
Wow.
Like his father moved out of Hawaii years ago. And my cousin's like in his 50s, I think, 40s, maybe he's in the 40s. He's in his 20s, I don't know. He's in his 50s. He just moved his family back to the Big Island. So he asked me, he was like, why don't you guys move back? I mean, you have the capability now. I have the capital now if I wanted to move back.
Yeah.
But we are so
timing.
if the timing's not right, and our roots, as Hawaiians, when we start growing roots,
Stop.
I got my chickens,
Yeah.
I got my farm animals, I got my home. We love our school, we love the people.
Yeah.
So there are some Hawaiians out there in the world that love where they live.
Right.
But I know, like from my heart, like a part of me will always be here. Like anytime I come here, I call it home.
Yep.
Even though my home is wherever my kids and my
you
husband
lay
is,
right.
and wherever I lay my head. But Hawaii will always call.
Yeah.
Why everyone moves out or away? I think it's just the mindset some of us grew up with. Like I remember a lot of people would just call Hawaii the Rock. I can't wait to get off the rock. That was like
A lot of people have never,
prevailing mindset.
went to inner island. Some people,
Exactly.
just like stayed.
Exactly. And then like when I moved, I went big. I was like, I'm gonna go from Hilo to New York.
Yeah.
And then I never came back. I don't know. I think maybe it has to do with Hawaiians were voyagers, and a lot of us just have that ingrained mindset that we want to go look and see and feel and touch and discover new places.
Right, yeah, I mean, you look at Duka Hanamoko, right? He traveled all over Australia, California.
Yeah.
shared the Aloha spirit through surfing.
But then when I see those numbers and I see how many Hawaiians don't live in Hawaii, it makes me worried for like, what about the Aloha spirit here?
It's definitely different. There is still the Aloha. There's the few that digging the roots deeper. Like for me, I'm not.
Same with my
not trying to
in my
move.
family. I'm the black sheep. I'm the only one that doesn't live here.
Yeah.
Like me and my family, we're the only one that doesn't live here.
Yeah,
At
and I'm
the
not
same
mad
time,
at. I'm not mad at. We can't get.
I know
mad,
you're
right?
mad at me. Actually.
Like, get your ass back now. We need you back here now.
But the thing is, like, we come back as much as we can. That's the one thing that I told my husband, because when we were trying to decide where to live, I was like, I will live literally anywhere.
Right.
As long as you're with me, number one. And number two, you take me back to Hawaii at least once, twice, 3 times if you really love me. For a while there, like my kids have been back here more than most people. I don't know. They've been on the plane so much. Like they used to go once or twice a year. And my oldest son is 9. So
Right.
they've been back a lot.
So yeah, my baby. So when I met my wife, she had 2 children. So we have
you understand.
similarities, right? And I grew up as a stepchild too. When I was 3, my mom married my stepdad, and then he had they had my brother and sister, and then my dad had my other brother and sister from stepmom too. So I get it, right? A lot of families in Hawaii broke in because get plenty of aloha, right? And things just, look greener on the other side. But so when I met my wife, man, the children is super respectful, and then that was my fear, like coming in as a stepfather. Or they call me uncle, right? Which is cool.
I called my
Told you really raised your children well, super respectful. Because when I grew up with my stepdad, we never get along. But now we're older, like I'm older, and we get along. But then we had our daughter. She just made 9, so.
So you understand.
I understand. I was later, right? I was 37 or 38 when we had her. So I was like, I was trying to hold out. I was trying to be, the entrepreneur, the guy that I just work, hustle.
You get it set up.
Yeah. So
Set up a
but
legacy for your kids.
It's been a blessing to have, her in my life, the kids in my life. Now my daughter 9, who wants to be a YouTuber. Like, yeah, you be the YouTuber, because man, those YouTubers and play games, they make pretty good money.
Yes. Talk about return on investment.
I was like, I'll get all the cameras, I'll hook you up, right?
She's like, Daddy, can I borrow your camera?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Well,
you can.
I already taught her how to, record her screen and play her game, so she's like on it.
That's amazing.
Right. So yeah, I mean, what one thing I usually, at the end of our podcast, I ask one thing that you can share to the audience who may, are dealing with humble beginnings where they're not really set or figured out where their, life is headed. Like for me, coaches is super important, but one thing, you can tell our audience, hey, do this or do that.
Honestly, actionable step, and I'm huge on that, so I'm glad you asked, it's not going to cost you anything. Seriously, DM this guy. Or DM me. Like, I
respond.
love talking to everyone. I will talk to, and like a phone call doesn't cost me anything.
Right.
And I know sometimes you're like, but I'm ashamed. I know, whatever the excuse is that you're having, that you don't want to like reach out to the person that could up level your life.
Right.
Like, I could up level your life, but unless you contact me, I don't know you. I don't know how to get a hold of you.
Right.
Like, unless like we found each other on Instagram, it was through Zasha, who I have not met yet in person. I've met you first. It's crazy. But like, we connected And
Right.
I was like, hey, I'm going to be in Hawaii coming up. You want to meet? And you're like, yeah, let's do a podcast.
Yeah, of course.
And this is how you find people in your life to up level you. And I don't know. The great thing is, like, you who I'm talking to, you podcast listener, I don't know how you might up level my life, how you might up level our life.
Right.
Like, this is how we find partners. This is how we find capital, how we find deals, how we find fill in the blank. It's not like figuring out how to do underwriting or figuring out how to get the deal. It's not that. It's actually the human component first.
Right.
It's making that connection first and then figuring out on that human level how you can be uplifted and in turn uplift. So reach out.
Yeah.
When a coach says DM them, DM them.
Yeah.
They might not get back to you. Maybe you don't talk to those coaches. But the ones that get back to you, this guy or me, like, those are keepers.
Yeah.
Like, talk to them. I will have a 15-minute, half an hour conversation, might be 3 hours because you've heard me talk, conversation with you, but that's not going to cost me anything and I'll have a new friend. So action step, reach out.
Yes.
Reach out.
That's super key. Like if you, like a lot of us locals, we tend to they're scared to ask, right? So what I learned this, and I said, if you scared to ask, and if you don't ask, you starve.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So don't be afraid to reach out, because we want to see everybody succeed in this life. It's not about competing against each other anymore. It's the human thing to do, right? Godly thing to do.
It is the godly thing to do. And the thing is, like, for me, it's never about like competition, because I have taught so many people how to do exactly what I do in my market. Like, I use my market as an example. So people have the information how to get into real estate, exactly the type of real estate that I do in my market. But it's not competition, it's collaboration.
Right.
Yeah, there's going to be some healthy competition. You might get to a deal before me. I might get to a deal before you. But if we like working together, like me and my partners do, then it's all about collaboration.
Right.
Like, the partners that I've had on my real estate deals, we don't partner up on everything. And there's some deals that they get to first, we get to first, and some of those we don't partner up on. But the ones that have a lot of meat on the deal, the ones that we need help with, those are the ones that you want to get in on. And the only way that that's going to happen is if you, reach out.
Reach out and shaka someone. Now, how can the audience reach you if they want to find out, or talk story, like you said, if they want to ask you a question? What's your handles?
So the easiest way to get like a one-on-one conversation with me is probably find me on Instagram and DM me. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Piliyarusi, Piliyarusi. So at Piliyarusi on Instagram and all the socials. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one.
Yeah.
That the last name story is for another day. Or you can go to our website. I'm sure we'll have all the show notes. Yarusiholdings.com.
Nice.
So that's my, my front-facing, very professional website.
Yeah.
But if you want to see more about me and like who I am and my chickens,
YouTube.
you can find me on Instagram, or you can find me on YouTube, and all the videos are all there.
Right.
All my podcasts.
And then your coaching program, okay? Yeah.
My coaching program. Best way to do that is to it's 7figuremultifamily.com, or look for Multifamily Live on Apple Podcasts. And again, like, you could literally look up, Google my name, Piliyarusi, and you'll find all the things. And I guess that's a good thing. Like, I always tell people, hey, Google yourself and see what comes up.
Yeah.
It's easy for me because I'm pretty sure there's no more, there's not
one.
another Piliyarusi in the world.
You're the only one, right?
I should just tell people to Google me.
Google. But yeah, it's been a blessing. I really appreciate, us reaching out to each other on Instagram, now in person.
Yes.
To see you in real life is a blessing, and stoked to hear your story, to share,
Super blessed.
share with the audience of, how you can go from Hilo town to New York and then end up in Tennessee.
In the middle of the United States.
Tennessee
Tennessee,
whiskey.
it's not- yeah.
Tennessee whiskey.
I don't drink.
No,
but
me neither.
basically.
Right. So yeah, it's been an awesome podcast. Really appreciate you coming on, and of course, this is in your backyard.
My parents' backyard.
Parents' backyard. Appreciate you inviting me in and having this. So, mahalo.
Well, thank you for having me. I feel blessed to be on this. Like, God blesses us in amazing ways, puts people on our path for a reason, but we just got to figure out that reason. So again, if you're watching this, and I know you are, if you watch it to the end, thank you. You're awesome.
Mahalo.
But reach out to this guy.
Yeah.
Reach out and see how he can up-level you into like what could be an amazing future.
Thank you for watching the Puka Pockets podcast with Pili, Uncle Fuzzy Jardine. Hey, if you like this show, smash that like button, and if you think someone could use this information, I don't know, share it, right?
Share it.
And subscribe. Of course, subscribe if you like it, to watch more of these videos or podcasts. And we see you guys on the next one. Aloha.
Hey, if you like what you see, guys, I have a mentorship program called the Hui Mastermind. I have a partner named Zasha Smith, where we take our students through a 4-week mastermind, 2 calls a week. We also have a 2-day live event where we walk you through our projects that we're going through, how to find deals, fund deals. We show you our team, and we also take you through a 2-day live event, and we show you the process from the start to the finish. First day is on Oahu, and the second day is on the Big Island. We also put you on a lifetime Facebook private group so that you can network with other students, and you will also have connection with Zasha and I, who are local real estate investors right here in Hawaii. So if you're interested in getting involved with the real estate industry, just message me below and let's get you going. Aloha.